It appears that things could be falling apart in AEW. We're going to discuss it all in today's video. As always, timestamps in the description down below. But first, we must begin with CM Punk at the AEW media scrum. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about this. They want to know if it's a work. Is AEW blurring the lines? What is actually happening here? And people, of course, have taken to social media, and it seems like people are starting to turn on AEW. Now, I know this is going to come as a shock for a lot of people, but I have been talking about this for a very long time. You know, we've seen it with Big Swole, we saw it with Cody Rhodes, we've seen it with so much reports back in the day, and of course, I think a lot of times when there's drama in AEW, people want to know, is it a work, is it a shoot? And if you saw the AEW media scrums, you saw CM Punk go absolutely crazy talking about Scott Colton, talking about the EVPs, talking about all of this stuff. And by now you've heard the reports, you've seen the reports that CM Punk has a lot of issues with people in AEW. And yet people are still questioning whether or not this is a work or shoot. And granted, it could be a work, and that's fine if it is a work. I'm not really necessarily worried about being worked here, but CM Punk's comments were absolutely unprofessional. And if this is a work, I'm not really sure as to why AEW would want this type of energy surrounding their company. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, CM Punk went on the media scrum and immediately just went all off on the media about journalism, about Scott Colton, aka Colt Cabana. He went off talking about Hangman Page going for business and going into the business for himself. He talked shit about the EVPs leaking fake wrestling news and all this stuff. And basically, he just talked about the professionalism here. Tony Khan sat there right next to him, and he just didn't, I don't know, they didn't cut the mic, they didn't do any of this stuff, and I don't understand the purpose of this type of behavior. If this were a work, I don't understand why you would want all of this negative energy surrounding your company at a time where people are finally starting to get interested back in your company. It does not make sense. AEW for the first time has gone back-to-back with 1 million viewers on Dynamite. AEW All Out was the start of something where people were not as happy as you may have thought. People were questioning the booking decisions here. CM Punk goes off on the media. Tony Khan sits there and just accepts it. And it just creates this huge narrative that there are some backstage issues, so much so that it appears that the AEW EVPs are threatening to walk out of the company. So a report comes out from Fightful Select, a lot of rumors of a physical altercation between CM Punk and somebody backstage. There's this talk of the EVPs threatening to walk out after this media scrum, and yet people are questioning whether this is a work or a shoot. But what would be the purpose of AEW trying to blur the lines here? Now, weeks ago, we made a video talking about CM Punk turning heel, and obviously that would make a lot of sense. But again, this is at a time period where people are finally starting to get excited about AEW's potential. They watched All Out. The crowd's reaction to the show and some of the booking decisions showed that the honeymoon phase is no longer there. A lot of people had some issues with the booking decisions made at All Out. So why go through this work? Why go through this possibility of working everybody? What, to make CM Punk a good heel? I don't get it. I don't understand this logic here. But if Kenny Omega and the Bucks are truly threatening to walk out of AEW, then Cody Rhodes knew something this entire time. Now, a year ago, I was talking about AEW, and I said one of the things that they need to be really careful about when they move forward is the backstage issues, because there's constant reports of backstage issues back when Cody Rhodes was an EVP of this company. And now as time goes on, you literally have reports of EVPs threatening to walk out. There's rumors of a physical altercation between CM Punk and somebody else on the roster. And this just doesn't make sense. And I just can't seem to understand why, if you're AEW, you would want this to happen. The biggest thing that I've realized when I watched AEW's media scrum is that there should have been a big focus on the return of MJF. And just like the MJF promo where people were wondering what's real and what's not, it really got people to kind of shift their energy towards AEW. And I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that people don't want to be watching wrestling dealing with all that negativity. The real world's got its own problems. People watch wrestling to escape it. And I think now AEW trying to blur the lines is making people a little bit uncomfortable. So if your EVPs are walking out, if you got CM Punk causing backstage issues with people, I think it's going to get to the point where people are like, look, like, we're not satisfied. And there's another company that's starting to actually write good television. We'll just go watch that instead. And that's very intriguing to me. I think another thing that a lot of people need to understand at the media scrum is that Tony Khan also had very negative energy towards WWE. And I thought this was absolutely mind-boggling to me because Tony Khan was a little bit offended that WWE had 2 shows during the weekend. Tony Khan said, "We were the first pro wrestling show on Labor Day weekend last year, and we were the 3rd this year. I don't think that's a coincidence. When the fight is brought, I have a unique way of fighting. A lot of money to bring to the fight. This is not a game to me. This is my life. I don't think it's a joke. I take it very seriously. When I compared myself to Jim Crockett Promotions this weekend, I got a taste of the same medicine Jim Crockett Promotions took, but I have a lot more fucking money, and I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this shit." So these are the words from Tony Khan. He seems to be really pissed off that WWE had their events clash at the Castle and, of course, Worlds Collide. But, you know, at the end of the day, Tony Khan says he's not going to take this shit. Tony Khan is the one who has spread this anti-WWE rhetoric for so long as a way to make his company seem better. And, you know, I think a lot of times people are actually getting to the point where they're like, yo, like, this is not right. This is not the right behavior. There should have been a big focus last night on MJF's return, on the fact that you have this new faction, on the fact that you have great tag team matches, the fact that you have a fantastic roster, the fact that Tony Storm won the interim championship. However, it appears the EVPs, Tony Khan, AEW, CM Punk, they've channeled all of that energy away from all the good things that can happen, and yet now there's all this negative energy, and I think people are just kind of fed up with it. And this leads me to our final topic, and that is Malakai Black. Tony Khan won't confirm the situation with Malakai Black, and now people are wondering, is this a work or is this a shoot? Malakai Black, after his match, took a bow, blew a kiss to the crowd, and hugged the House of Black and left ringside. Meltzer and Alvarez believe that he's done with AEW. Tony Khan won't comment on it. So, obviously, throughout time, we have seen issues in this company, and people are finally starting to see it come to light. We want AEW to succeed. We want this company to do well. But at the same time, what is happening here? Why has it felt like this company has been going downhill? And what is it going to take to change these things? With or without a storyline being attached to this, I just think this is the wrong type of energy that AEW needs. AEW was known for bringing people together, making them happy, and it just seems like that doesn't appear to be the case here. Let me know what you guys think down below.